Do you sell to beginners? If you create content and sell a product or service to beginners, you're probably making this mistake, and it's costing you up to 80% of your sales, if not 100%. A lot of advice that you can hear on YouTube about sales goes into how you can sell experts as another expert, or how you can sell businesses as another business. But if you're not selling to businesses or creators, you might have learned a bunch of bad habits that absolutely tank your sales. And they all stem from one simple idea. Hi, my name is Jordan Parker. I help creators scale their businesses. Today we're talking about one of the simplest ideas that pretty much everyone on the market is getting wrong and can potentially make you hundreds of thousands of dollars if you apply it correctly in your business. 5 years ago I was running an IT agency, and we happened to get a client which was a very famous producer of Windows, let's call it, and they were $1 billion company, and we weren't even a 9-figure company. So what gives? How did this massive enterprise company decide to work with us? We did something very simple. We gave everything away for free. We gave all of our knowledge for free. They saw how amazingly knowledgeable we are. We talked to them in about 700 calls, and finally we nailed a very juicy 8-figure project, which is fun. But a lot of people see that, businesses doing that with other businesses, and decide, hey, I need to do this with my products or services. But the problem there is, if you're selling to beginners, it doesn't work. And maybe you've tried it already and you saw that you're doing everything correctly, supposedly, and nothing is working. The problem lies in you giving everything away for free, because people need a reason to pay. And most beginners are generally younger and they generally have more spare time. So they would be very happy to invest time into any project, but their finances are relatively limited. So what happens is that when you're targeting beginners, if you give everything away for free, what they do is they take it and they do it themselves, because that makes more sense in their situation. They have a scarcity of cash and an abundance of time, so it makes sense to invest the thing that they have a lot of, which is time. So they invest their time and they don't give you money, which is perfectly fine if it worked, but it doesn't, because with your help your clients would get better results, they'll get faster results, and they'll have less frustration and stress on the way. It makes sense to invest the money, but it is not immediately obvious that you need to do that because you have all the information. You can just do it yourself. To solve this, I've built this model. It's called the action to value model, and it's designed to do one simple thing. It's designed so you can actually share everything away for free, but it's structured in such a way that people still want to buy after. If that sounds interesting, I'm going to share the whiteboard and show you the whole thing. No secrets, no nothing. This is how the model looks, and you can probably puzzle a good bit from just the picture, but I'll go over it and explain because there are certain details that you won't necessarily grab from a screenshot. The first step to this model, the action to value model, is action. A lot of the time you'll not have enough ideas for your content. Ideas are not really necessary, and also there is a better feel to creating good content than ideas, and that feel is, as you can see here, experience. Experience, aka you doing shit, is much more valuable than ideas because you can show off your experience. For example, I did this model for a paid client. I didn't just do this for this YouTube video. I know this works because a client of mine has used this for many months. So you're not getting an idea that I had 15 minutes ago, you're getting an actual model that was tested and improved on over many iterations. So you start by doing shit. This is very important. When you do stuff, it becomes much easier to present it because you know what you're talking about. Now, if we just share that experience directly, people can just get it and do it themselves. We don't want that. Or at least, we don't want to make this super easy, because a dedicated audience members can always puzzle out whatever you're doing if you make enough content. That's fine. We don't want to punish your most dedicated audience members because they don't happen to have enough money to buy. That's okay. But there is a different thing that we have to consider, and that is, if we share this in a way that is way too easy for just anyone to implement, we'll get people who are just looking for quick wins implementing instead of buying. And buying is a useful process because when you buy something you get commitment, and this commitment then helps you stick around with this thing until you actually get the results. And a lot of the people who are looking for quick wins will try something for 15 minutes, for an hour, for a week, and they will not get the results as soon as they wanted to, and then they will abandon it and go to the next thing. This is not how you help people. So if you actually want to make your content helpful, you do it this way. So we have 3 building blocks to how you share your content, and all 3 of them are very important. We have your one boring thing, you have telling people what to do, and we have telling people what to think. But before we get into a breakdown of all 3 of those, I want to invite you to join Creator Income. Creator Income is where I send all of my best insights and ideas before I get to making YouTube videos for them. Usually weeks and months before I can get to that. So if you want to have early access to those, and if you want to get access to my work and learnings from working with massive creators, then you should join and start reading the the day. The three things that we care about are, number one, we have the one boring thing. What one boring thing means is that you need something that you're giving people. You need some sort of a result that people are following you for. You need your audience to have a selfish reason for which they're watching. And this reason shouldn't be fancy, it shouldn't be super interesting. It is just a boring thing. It is, I want to make more money. It is, I want to be a better designer. It is, I want to be a better engineer. Whatever. It is some selfish reason that your audience has to follow you. So you want to include that one boring thing into every piece of content that you have. You want this to be very clear from everything that you make. It doesn't matter what kind of content you're making, it needs to highlight that. Every piece of content that you make should be leading people to your one boring thing. Next, we want to tell people what to do and how to think. Now, those are not framed as you need to think this way, you need to do this. And this is a pretty harsh way of giving orders to people, and it generally is not what I would recommend because it doesn't work that well. I really wanted to do this years ago and I tried many times, but it frankly didn't work out for me, so I can't recommend it. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to tell stories. Your stories are going to be the example of how people should think or what people should do. We're still telling them those things, but we're telling them through story and not through words. So as people consume your story, which can be written, it can be video, whatever, they'll get a takeaway or several takeaways. All of those takeaways should be all aligned with what you should do, or all of those takeaways should be aligned with how you should think, aka mindset. So the whole magic of this method is we're separating those out. For anyone to solve something to completion, they need to know what to do and how to think. They need the doing and the mindset, they need the tactics and the strategy. They need both of those things for them to actually solve this for themselves. So when you're presenting those separately in two different pieces of content, what happens is that getting that final solution requires a lot more brain power. It requires you to actually connect the dots, make the final picture, and make sure that it's the correct final picture, because you're never sure that the author meant exactly that. That little bit of friction creates enough of a barrier between your experience that you turn into stories and you're learning from those stories, so people don't just take it and do it themselves. Instead, they will want to, and the want part here is important, to do the easier thing for them, which is to purchase your product or service. Doing things this way ensures two things. One, you're not only getting more sales, but you're also helping people more, because you manage to change the mind of many people who would otherwise take the easy route and just try to do everything themselves, and actually get expert help, aka your help, to actually reach their goals and reach them faster, better, stronger, and everything else you can imagine. This is more powerful and much more simpler than trying to just brain dump everything that you have, and it also simplifies and streamlines your content because you're not barraging people with a bunch of information. You're just giving them a slice of the whole cake, which makes the content easier to consume, and thus people want to watch more of it, which builds a better relationship and makes you more money again. And of course, the last step is to take those two separate stories. Again, one experience leads to two stories, and you repurpose them over your social media networks. But you already know that.